All right. Where do you want to start? I guess we already kind of did start, didn't we?
So you continue on because it's
the tariff thing, like the tariff thing is so frustrating to me, right? Like I have a buddy who was at a speaking event today where Doug Ford was speaking, and Doug Ford riling up the room about how tough Ontario is, how tough Canada is, how the premiers are working together, and like you just fold like a cheap suit, you know, like 3-4 hours later, caved all the demands. I don't have much else to say about it except that Canadians who are pretending that we are in a position of any leverage at all are delusional. We have no leverage. We don't export.
Does any country in the world have leverage
against the U.S.?
Correct.
No.
Maybe China.
That's China. Okay. One. Sure.
Maybe them.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe.
Other than that, I can't think of a single country out there that's going to wave their dick and say mine is going to be as fucking big as yours. Nobody's going to be able to do that.
Yeah. And the oil thing, like I got some shit and Len told me there was some more shit on Discord about my oil take last week. Like I've heard that I've heard that take a few more times since then, you know, and I'm not convinced that you guys are as right as you think you are. And I might not be spot on either, but I think that there's something to this idea that we didn't tool to refine the oil that we produce. The US did. We didn't build any pipelines to ship it anywhere else. They buy it from us at a discount. Like, I think that's actually true. Do they need it? Or do they just like it from us because it's cheap? That's the question I don't have a good answer for.
No,
and I've heard both sides of that.
The thing was you called it garbage and the people kept,
it's not garbage. It's just, it's hard to use. It needs to be refined. It needs to go through a process, and the refineries in the States are tooled for it. That's all.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so
yeah,
there's water under the bridge, folks who are upset.
Oil under the ground now.
Yeah. You know, see, Ford did something today.
Yeah.
With Starlink canceling up that contract, right?
So stupid. Stupid.
Does now things change given the fact there's the 30-day window? I don't know. Does Starlink is now going to be put back together? Like, and if so, do they start again from scratch? Or did they just say, "Oh, we fucked up"? You know, we didn't cancel that agreement, but we said it verbally. Well, you know what I mean? Like, it makes me wonder now that do they want to go ahead with the Starlink thing, and does Starlink want to go ahead with dealing with Ontario when they could easily just say no, we don't want it out of whim? Like, if I was Starlink, I would be fuck this. You know, like, pay up front.
Starlink was in the news here in Ontario. Don't forget the origin story of this contract. You may remember that last year. God, time is flying. It was either last year or the year before when there was a popular story in most of the national papers about how the Liberal government federally made a pledge to rural Canadians that there would be available, cheap, like market-priced high-speed internet for them that wasn't going to be a gouge from one of the big oligopolies. And they were going to do it, you know, over a certain period of time, whatever. And then as the kind of contracts and stuff started to leak and materialize, it turns out that it maybe wasn't a gouge to the users, but the taxpayer paid like $35,000 a home, basically, in some of these areas to wire up for internet, when Elon could have done it for $20K, you know, a whole 200-mile radius or something like that, right? And so, like, that was I think the origin of the Starlink thing. And then when Ford took Starlink on, it was another disaster, right? Oh, this guy's a bootlicker. He's supporting a right-wing fascist. He's supporting China. He's giving money to his buddies. Like, the people who say that are brain dead. The Bruce Archers of the world, the other Toronto Star columnists.
There's something you're missing from this.
What?
So he's saying this, but he's saying this at a time. What's happening in Ontario right now, Joey?
Well, there's an election. Yeah, obviously.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So he's trying. Think about this in the respect of winning the election. I'm not trying to say that what he's saying is right or wrong, but in terms of trying to secure another majority government, he's trying to tap into their emotions and say, yeah, this is the guy that's going to protect.
Do you think his base thinks that?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm not in touch. I don't know where my sort of closest political alignment is, but I'm going to vote for Ford, and I do not think that at all. I think canceling Starlink is dumb. I think his rah-rah speeches about liquor stores is dumb. They're dumb. Like, it's all dumb.
He's trying to show that he is a strong candidate willing to stand up to Donald fucking Trump.
Yeah, big dick Don.
Right? No, regardless if it could be done or not, he's got 30 days in which he's got to show off to the general public. I'm the guy that's going to be able to do this. I'm the guy that's going to fucking stand up for your rights and your best interest. And then come time to vote. Oh, this is the guy that's, I'm going to vote for. He's just doing it. This is just a fucking popularity contest. It's all it is right now.
How can see? I don't know. I disagree with that. I think that's wrong. And because I don't think
there was no election, it would be a totally different narrative.
I don't know that it would be. I think Ontario stands to suffer from these fake tariffs as much as anyone else. And so maybe he's just like actually acting out. And his government saying, yeah, we can harm Elon this way. Don't forget, okay, when people say this guy's like a political genius, he did align himself closely with Chrystia Freeland, called her his therapist during COVID and said that she was doing great work. She was doing anything but. And so when people say this guy's a great mainstream politician, I just laugh. Like, clearly he's not.
An opportunist.
He's not an opportunist. He's the fucking Globetrotters, and everyone the Liberals trot out in this province is his fucking generals. And it's been like that for a decade almost. He's beating literal C-list losers like Bonnie fucking Crombie. Come on, who the fuck? She is an unknown. He could beat Crombie without doing any of the Tesla shit, without doing the Canada's for sale shit, without doing the rah-rah speeches. He could beat Crombie, no problem, with nothing, with no effort at all, nothing. He didn't need to do any of that stuff.
Remember he ran to be mayor of Toronto when his brother was sick, right?
Yes.
So he did a switch. Instead of running Ward 1, he decided to run for, and he lost to Tory. And as soon as he lost, there was an interview with him. He said he's going to do cartwheels. He was happy that he lost. He was done with politics, and he was going to do cartwheels to the airport because he had a business which he ran at the time in Chicago. Yeah. He was living in Chicago before he became a councillor in Toronto, and he wanted to go back to that life. The only reason he ran here is because this is a legacy for his father. His father wanted to be premier, never panned out. Patrick Brown, he was ousted. Still don't know exactly why he was ousted, but he was ousted in a very unceremonious fashion.
Was it a sex scandal or something?
Something like that. But how did this materialize? I have no idea. So there was a vacuum there. There was no opposition. Whoever ran for the PC party was going to become premier. He was an opportunist. He didn't want to be in politics. And I'm quoting him, cartwheels to the airport. That's what he was saying. And then
has he ever done a cartwheelie thing?
I don't think so. Now, and here he is now as premier, second term going for, I think it's second.
Yeah, he's 2 terms already. Yeah.
Going for third. This is just, it's a legacy for him and his family. So he's very much an opportunist. Now, everything he's doing here is just simply it's votes. The $200 that came out is for the votes. This whole standing up to Trump is for the votes. He's a businessman. He'd be in Chicago if things played out differently, right? Like it's all, and just like the Liberal Party, they're doing, it's all just politics. By not having Parliament come back in session, and they're saying they're going to keep the prorogue the way it is. We're going to come back in March. I forget if that's the date which they'll come back. They're basically saying the priorities are, we'll deal with who's going to be elected leader of the Liberal Party. That's first. And then we'll deal with the rest after that. If the priorities would be different, they would say, oh no, we're going to go fuck the prorogue. We're going to deal with this and then do the voting for money that's going to have to be pandered out for all these programs because of tariffs. It's not the case. We're dealing with the party first. Good evening, Rod. Party first and the rest second. That's politics. You're just playing politics. Now with Trudeau, he shouldn't have been out there doing speeches.
Totally agree.
But now he's doing this. There seems to be this renewed, like, people.
I know.
Right? Now, again,
he got glowing reviews to that speech on Saturday night from the dumbest people in the country. So there's
fucking politics. And it's like Boomer said a long time ago that Poilievre, his biggest problem is he may have peaked too early. And it might turn out to be true. Not to say that the Liberals will win more than 10 seats this time. They may not. I don't fucking know. But things are trending in the right direction for the Liberal Party. Again, it may not pan out to anything material.
Yeah, but you're right, though. It's undeniable that they're better off today than they were a week ago. No doubt about that.
And on top of this, I just want to say one thing, because this is something that's been eating at me for a little while. In Ottawa, at a hockey game, there was a national anthem. They played both the American, and the fans booed the U.S. national anthem. At a Toronto Raptors game in Toronto, fans booed the U.S. national anthem. I took a look. I had to even go through this. The Toronto Raptors have 18 people on their squad, right? 18 people, is that correct? Is that the typical
Probably
squad?
15. Probably 15, maybe 18 on the roster if you include the two-way deals with the 905. Yeah.
18 in the roster. 66% of them are American. They got 3 Canadians.
Yeah.
And there's a few other flags I couldn't tell, but 66% are Canadian. People bought tickets to watch Americans play basketball, but they're booing the fucking national anthem for which they're born in.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't make fucking sense to me.
Why doesn't it make sense? This is the same sports, the same fan bases and the same sort of like sports adjacent people calling for the ban of Russian athletes 2 years ago.
They fucking in Wimbledon.
Yeah.
They didn't
I remember. And
Russian,
like that, it was dumb then. It's dumb now.
Russian blue, that's a breed of a cat.
Yeah.
Was not allowed to a fucking cat.
Yeah.
Like
I know,
because
man.
it had the name Russian in it.
I know.
Was not able to participate.
I know.
It's just asinine. All this stuff. So like
that's lowest common denominator type stuff, right?
All
this
used that
word
done,
in a long time, but yeah.
It's tapping into a nationalistic identity that hasn't been tapped into for a very long time.
Yeah.
And people are trying to capitalize on that.
Look out for the Canadian
I'll leave it at that.
Funko Pop frontline soldiers. Look out. Look out. Whatever.
I have nothing to add. I'm not sure if you want to go anywhere.
What else is there to say? We bent the knee. We all knew we were going to bend the knee. We have no leverage. You know, we're playing against the United States with an unplugged controller.
What does a fentanyl czar do?
I have no idea. I have no idea. What is this? A czar is like a portfolio manager, basically, you know, bureaucrat. So something of that nature. You manage these 10,000 more troops going to the border. God, I like some of the stuff I've seen. I always pick on Bruce Arthur, but he's not alone. He's just the sort of the most vocal and popular hysteric out there. These guys were all talking about how anyone who called for any of the things we gave as concessions yesterday or Saturday was an American apologist, a traitor to the country, a weak Canadian. Well, now your prime minister, who you claim to have supported, agreed to all those things. What are you going to say about him? These people are just so fucking dumb and so fucking flip-floppy at every goddamn turn. They add no value to the conversation. They stand for nothing and speak the loudest on behalf of everybody, at least in their own minds. It's unbelievable. The Twitter machine, the bird machine, is like just this unbearable cesspool of retards on days like today. No nothing blowhards who can't see 15 minutes into the future, even though everything else around them is telling them what's going to happen. Colombia, Mexico, EU, like everything tells you that we're going to do the exact same thing. And these guys are standing up with their toy guns, pretending that they're going to beat the bully. No, like, fuck you are. Like, you got to be stupid to think that. And they are stupid. They're just showing their colors here more today than usual.
Let's turn the tables a little bit. You're Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And the tariffs coming in place, the threat of it, what would you do? Would you do exactly what he's done, or would you do something else? Like, did he do the right thing? Did he do the only thing, or is there something?
The thing he should have done was tell Trump at the beginning of this whole thing, yeah, you're right. We have a problem. We shouldn't have taken this long. We're going to address it. I mean, Len, I got the Wayside House hoodie on today. People are dying from this stuff every day.
We're talking about fentanyl or just
fentanyl. Yeah. Every day they're dying from it. Every day someone can't afford a home because money laundering Chinese businessmen and gamblers are coming into British Columbia with hockey bags full of cash, playing at casinos on camera and not getting busted. Every day we're dealing with increasing cost of living because we're shipping in hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people from India, all of whom are at least coming in unvetted, and some of whom every day on either 6Buzz, RCMP, Toronto Police, you pick the Twitter feed, are busted for coke, fentanyl, other drug trafficking here, the States, and everywhere. Like, at some point, we have some responsibility to take on this. The feds do. It's not, oh, it's just a culture thing. It's not, oh, it's not all, it's, you know, this hockey bag full of cash wasn't all laundered money. Like, yes, it was. You got guys like Sam Cooper, who in a recent interview said he's basically putting his life on the line. Like, he's got death threats now, exposing this stuff. and no one's doing anything about it. And for Trump to come in and say the same thing, and our media, again, guys like Bruce Arthur, Andrew Coyne, oh, he's lying. Do you not see what's going on in the big cities in Canada? It's not like it's behind closed doors, as much as you wish it was with supervised injection site nonsense. It's not behind closed doors. It's in the streets. It's in schools. It's in gyms. It's in rec centers. It's in public parks. It's not like it's a mystery. And so when Trump comes in and says there's a problem, Canadians know there's a problem. But because we're so blinded by the orange man bad, like brainworm, we just think that he's not telling the truth. Are we fucking dumb? Do you not see what's going on all around you? How everything is getting away from you in terms of cost, how drugs are more prevalent, how gang violence is more prevalent, how gun violence is more prevalent, how every time there's a bust, there's a theme in the people that get caught. You don't see it? We're going to pretend it's not. Like, we can pretend all we want. You can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore reality's consequences. That's where we are with this guy. And so when Trump comes in and says, you got a problem, I want you to fix it, the answer can't be a 9:30 press conference where we talk about how we fought beside them in a war 200 years ago, like we could do it again today. We couldn't, we won't, we can't, we have no power, and we are incorrect. We are on the wrong side of this. Evidenced today by the outcome of these quote unquote negotiations, negotiating with us the same way that a father negotiates with his 5-year-old son. Do what I fucking tell you, or there will be consequences, and you're not going to like them. That's the end of the story. That tweet from Trudeau.
How could Trump do anything else?
That tweet from Trudeau looked like a script that was given to him by the White House press secretary. That's how it looked.
I would have loved to have listened to a conversation between the two. It would have been
could you
amazing
imagine?
to listen to it. But really, Trump, he has everything going for him because it's a single term. He's got one term. That's it. He's not fighting for, I got to do this to appease people for that second. He doesn't. He could just leave his stamp on history, and just say, "This is what I've done."
Do the right thing. Yeah.
Well, right or wrong, he's going to be able to do whatever he wants, and they have the ability to wield that stick. And
you mentioned it earlier, okay? You mentioned it earlier. The decision-making matrix doesn't have what's best for Canada anywhere on it. It has what's the best thing for the Liberal Party in the next 6 months. What should I do here? And that's what he thought he was doing.
As long as that's the first thing they're trying to tackle, then that's the most important thing they're trying to do.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Right.
And it shows in the press conference. It shows in the broad support he got from members of the party, some of whom did not endorse him to be the next PM, did not endorse Carney to be the next PM. Some of whom endorsed other candidates, Freeland, Gould, you pick. But
Carney,
the party was united behind that speech, regardless of who they have as a successor.
Carney, now he came out this past week, and we just quickly.
He was on BBC. He did a BBC interview. That guy on Saturday.
Well, before we even talk about Carney, quickly, just want to say one thing. There was discussions that Canada was going to release some stimulus packages that were going to be on par with the pandemic, what they've done, and Ontario was going to also release billions of dollars too. The NDP said they were supportive of that. They wanted to see this go through. So the talk was, well, look, the NDP is going to support the Liberal Party and prop them up again. Maybe, maybe not. I think that whole discussion was just for the immediate relief, if that was ever going to pan out. And then after that, if they're going to go to a confidence vote, the NDP is still talking like they'll topple the government. So I don't think they're going to for sure keep the government till the end of October. I think it's a coin flip, if anything. But anyways, maybe. Carney. Yeah. I just want to say, speech this past week, everybody doesn't seem to be very happy with the carbon tax from the people that are running to be the next prime minister, from even the people that are here, right? So, like, whatever reason, the carbon tax doesn't work for people, right? Why are they trying to take it away? Like, obviously, it's not the best thing. But Carney wants to replace it with something else. Right? It's a carbon tax.
It's a carbon tax. And he watched you, me, and Mark were talking Friday morning during that speech. He couldn't explain what it was. And a couple of reporters asked him, like, when you say border adjustment, what do you mean? When you say you're going to tax the biggest polluters, what do you mean? I'll tell you what he means. he's going to keep taxing the consumers vis-a-vis increased prices by producers. And when he says he's going to tax the biggest polluters, he's talking about Alberta. Like, it's not hard to figure this out. He's going to tax the oil giants. You're going to pay more for everything. Like, these guys, they don't get it. This is like, at this point, this is doubling and tripling down on what is probably the most unpopular policy the country's had in the last 50 years. He just refuses to stop. Freeland is the only one who seems to like lick her thumb, put it in the air, and understand where the wind is blowing. Karina Gold saying she's not going to raise it anymore. Carney wants to rename it.
Well, Ruby Dalla, did she say what she's going to do?
I don't know. Ruby Dalla had a great Spider-Man meme though the other day with Carney, Freeland, and Trudeau. I thought that was pretty funny. They're all pointing at each other. It was great. But yeah, like I just don't know. I don't know what to say about the Liberal Party. They're rudderless. They're rudderless. There's not much else you can talk about besides that. Carney talking about like, you know, he's talking on one hand about how and I tweeted this too. He's talking on one hand about how he's not going to get rolled by Trump in negotiations. And then he gets absolutely fucking dummied by an APTN reporter about reconciliation on the campaign trail and how he's not talking about it. And he immediately just bends the knee and caves and it's like, oh, it's going to be a huge part of our platform. No, it's not. It's like unbelievable how these guys don't understand that what people want now is honesty. Even if they don't like it, it's what they want. And the Liberal Party seems unwilling to put anyone in that seat. I hate to say it, Len, but I think like Freeland is the best candidate they have in terms of the chances to take on Poilievre. And that's not saying much. She has no chance thanks to her proximity to Trudeau over the last decade. But
no, and Ruby Dalla, go back to her.
Yeah, Ruby, maybe. I don't know. I got to look at when the vote is. I registered to be a Liberal. And so now I have to check out when I'm voting. I think it's early March. So
she seems to be the most centrist of all the candidates that are left.
Ruby?
Yeah.
Yeah. Policy-wise, yeah, sure. Yeah.
So and if you're going to try to at least take a chunk out of his support, that may be the way to do it, is just go towards the center.
I see people in the chat criticizing like Freeland and the Liberal Party. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this party has no chance of winning anyways, but like the best outcome for them would be to put Freeland in charge. Doesn't mean it's a good outcome for everyone else. It's not. But for them, the best outcome would be to put Freeland in charge. I think that'd be how I read it.
There's enough infighting though. A lot of the caucus, the majority seems to be supporting Carney.
Yeah.
And the people that are
the heavies are. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a divide, right, between who's supporting Carney and who's supporting Freeland. So like you look at that, I don't know if she were to become the leader, what happens to all those people that are supporting Carney? Will you just simply say, fuck it? I'm going to pack it in and go?
Well, Carney is being criticized for saying that he would leave in place a lot of the cabinet and bring back a lot of the cabinet if he were to become the leader of the party and the prime minister.
Okay. I didn't know that. Status quo.
Freeland has not said that. Freeland has not said that. You know, and don't forget, these same people, by the way, according to a number of different stories, some of which we talked about on the program the day it happened, Freeland got a standing ovation at that Liberal emergency meeting, you know, that Monday so many moons ago, from a lot of those same.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of those same ministers and MPs that are now pro Carney. Like I'm not sure how committed anyone in that party is to any other person or any policy at the moment. It's a very fluid situation to say the least.
I'm just shocked that Carney is going to double down in this carbon tax thing, but it's just like it's reframing it. And I understand
it's crazy because Poilievre is dying on this carbon tax Carney hill, just like Justin, carbon tax Carney. And all they have to do is like take that toy away from him and force the campaign to realign somewhere else. And it would be a bit of a different fight, but they just refuse. It's the catchiest thing. It's the thing that Poilievre is best at. It's the thing that the most Canadians hate. And he just refuses to let it die. It's like political malpractice. And by the way, funny, I think I criticized on this show the guys who run the Strategist podcast, because it seems like every time they talk about campaigns they were on, they were just plugging and backing losers over and over again. And one guy is working on the Carney campaign. Like it's a done deal. It's a done deal. Like you're just hiring losers, people who don't get it, people who don't understand the policies, don't understand the public sentiment, the public feeling toward your candidate. They don't get it. They are.
Where's this money coming from?
Who knows? Who knows?
He must have made inroads with businesses,
Yeah.
but about 20 years ago, they changed the rules in that businesses were capped. Everybody was capped at
5,000
so much you
or
could
something.
donate.
Yeah.
Something like that. Right. So it's you really want to tap into individuals, the grassroots, so to speak.
I got an email from Mark Carney on the weekend that I'll show it here to the camera against my better judgment, but it's funny.
You're the second person that got an email from Carney this week.
Yeah, like to give you an idea, this campaign, by the way, claimed to be the most like savvy campaign. Yeah, it's funny. They sent the same email twice, which is so fucking funny. What a loser.
Does yours say dear first name? Yeah, first name. Like, why do they like
incompetent? They're incompetent. Again, you hired the guy from the Strategist podcast. Like, tells you all you need to know. These guys are working on losing campaigns for bad politicians all the time. Criticizing, you put out a fucking logo that was stolen from a credit company or something like that. Like, It's just, come on. It's Bush League, man. But that's the state of Canadian politics. It's Bush League. Everywhere you look, it's a shitty. And Poilievre's a shitty candidate too. He wouldn't beat a competent liberal candidate, but there isn't one right now. So he's going to step in. He'll get 4 years, and if the Liberals are smart, they'll bring in someone who's unknown and good in front of a mic and meme savvy and all these things, and they'll be Poilievre. Poilievre, for all his polish and luster, still stutters and chokes. He still stutters and chokes on his words when he's got to go off the cuff. Yeah. He's not good for a guy who's living and breathing, support on TikTok and these shorts. He's not that great in front of a mic. So I don't think that guy's that good. He's a 4-year PM. He's not going to be a PM.
No, I think he's still going to be there for the 8 years.
You think he's going to go 8? Yeah.
Yeah. Just traditionally, when there's a switch in government, you get a couple of terms. And then after that, it's crapshoot if you go for a third or not. So I think he'll get two full ones. Yeah, and then at that point, maybe the Liberals are ready to be coming back into power. I'm of the opinion there's only two parties that is going to govern Canada, at least for the next little while.
For sure. Next little while is in the next 100,000 years. Yeah, probably.
I would say next 20 years. Right?
They'll be finding fossils of our version of Homo sapiens and wondering how we ever got around on 2 feet before the NDP are ruling this country at any level. It'll never happen.
Provincially, they do.
Yeah, but not the feds. The feds
federally
fucking win. No way.
Yeah, there's no chance. Joey, I want to talk about a story. I found this to be pretty funny.
Chicago. You got to go to Chicago.
You want to do Chicago?
We got to go to Chicago. We have to, because this might be the last Chicago story we get before the resignation. I think the resignation is going to be the last Chicago mayor story we do in a few weeks.
Well, it looks like, according to a report, the esteemed Mayor Johnson in Chicago was accepting gifts, including jewelry, handbags, and not just that, but also some alcohol. And he's doing this. They're giving it to him. It's on behalf of the city. He's taking it, no problem at all. And I have nothing else to say. This guy.
Do you know the story? Do you know the story here?
I don't know how he was accepting it, but I just thought he was accepting this money.
There was
these gifts.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try and find it. There was apparently a walk around going on at his residence or at City Hall, and I guess there was like during this walk around. I gotta find it here. Mayor's gift.
Okay, room. Before you go any further,
okay,
who has a better chance of being elected in the next election?
Jagmeet Singh or Brandon Johnson? Probably Jagmeet.
Brandon Johnson guaranteed is going to win.
Okay, here we go. Chicago. This is it. This is from the New York Post. Chicago cops. I can't even read this with a straight face. Chicago cops blocked city inspectors from entering a curious, quote, gift room filled with designer bags, Hugo Boss cufflinks, a personalized Mont Blanc pen, that's a couple $1,000, and other ritzy goodies that were accepted by Mayor Brandon Johnson, according to a bombshell report. The trove of pricey giveaways is part of an unwritten arrangement that dates back 35 years, under which mayors can just write down gifts they receive in a logbook and store some of them on the 5th floor of City Hall instead of reporting them to the Board of Ethics. But the report issued Wednesday outlines numerous times investigators were rebuffed from learning more about the 236 gifts given to Johnson on behalf of the city, in quotes, since he took office. So they wanted to go into the gift room to see what he had, and he told them no a bunch of times.
Now, I want to know,
there was tons of stuff in there.
Were there any Rolexes?
I don't know.
Any Versace clothing?
Is there like a slave barber in there? Remember he was getting the expensive haircuts.
A Maserati?
No. That's only Jag. That's Jagmeet's gift room. Jagmeet's gift room.
Sorry, my bad. Bye, Canadian.
I love that story. The gift room. What is that? So in that room, you got like heroes like Lori Lightfoot, former Chicago mayor. Now this guy, Brandon Johnson. Who else is on that list? Probably a ton of good shit in there. I would love to get a crack at that room.
There may be some in there too.
Yeah, there could be. Yeah.
But let's move on. There's this really interesting story I saw, Joey, and it's in Ontario, in Peel region, in fact. Yep. And a bunch of people, 6 in total, were charged because there was a theft going on of butter and ghee. Have you seen this?
No. This one flew under the radar for me.
This one's a beauty. 6 people were charged with a connection with a theft of $60,000 worth of butter and ghee.
That's like 6-7 sticks of butter.
So if you're talking about what holds store of value very well, maybe it's fucking ghee, right? People are going up. So
that's great.
The theft for spreading, they're going from grocery store to grocery store. But it's noted that butter theft has increased by 135% from 2023. So butter theft is going up. So they were able to apprehend 3 suspects: Vishaviv Singh, Commander Singh,
and
Dalwal Sidhu. You know,
you just can't make it up.
3 others were identified as 22-year-old Navdeep Chaudhry, 38-year-old Kamaldeep Singh, and 25-year-old Harkarit Singh. So they were the
like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about here? Like, what? So how can this be? Did we notice anything here? Are we noticing anything? Can someone point out? Am I supposed to just not recognize the patterns on all these Peel region police accounts tweeting out groups of people? Did you see the gypsies doing distraction thefts in the fucking variety store? What the fuck is going on?
That's a big thing in Rome.
Oh my god! Like, what is going on? Are we seriously saying that these guys are going to contribute to GDP and add to like strength through diversity? No, they're not. The Singh family butter thief ring is not going to fucking help, and neither are the fucking gypsy thieves. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
This is the broken window theory, right? Because now those grocery stores, they have to buy more ghee and more butter, and so they're creating more demand for it, which in turn keeps the industry churning, so to speak. That's a unintended. Holy fuck! So yeah,
just unbelievable. I can't get my head around this. Who are the people who still think all this is a good idea? Where are they? Hope we don't have any butter lying around. Fuck.
Lock it up. Remember,
lock up your butter. We do need to be locking up butter for sure. For sure.
And I guess we'll just end it. The last story. The environmental minister was announcing that the federal government invested $40 million in 106 projects to advance equality for 2S LGBTQ plus communities, and also $8 million for 10 projects aimed at combating hate. So there we go.
Good.
That's all I got into that.
Glad to hear that. That's good. Yep. Look forward to seeing how that.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's the last story. We'll end it at that. Happy I have my Singapore dollar. This is holding its value very well.
As long as it's not a Sing dollar, Singapore dollar maybe, but
Singapore, yeah.
Sing dollar, different story. Proceeds of crime. Anyway, that's it. Good night. See you tomorrow. John Rubino's on. Until then, take care of yourself.
Don't be a cock.